must be above reproach, married only once, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an apt teacher, not a drunkard, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own household well, keeping his children submissive and respectful in every way. If someone does not know how to manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may be puffed up with conceit and fall into condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must be well thought of by outsiders, that he may not fall into disgrace and the snare of the devil. Okay, so I want to unpack first here. I'm reading from the NRSV, and verse 1 says, whoever aspires to the office of bishop desires a noble task. And then verse 2 says bishop. Okay, so I want to unpack what this word bishop means, because you'll see this word translated a variety of ways. Sometimes it is overseer, sometimes it's bishop. I'm not going to mangle the Greek spelling of this, but this is basically the word the episkopes, which is apologize if I didn't pronounce that right. It is the word that that is translated to episcopacy, bishop. So the order of bishops is often called the episcopacy. So churches that have bishops, United Methodist, most Methodist groups, not all, but most. Episcopal, obviously, Anglican, Catholic. I think our Lutheran friends have bishops. That is the word that word here is translated in meaning episcopate or episcopacy, a bishop. The original name of the Methodist Church in America was the Methodist Episcopal Church, so meaning a bishop. But that word is also used interchangeably in scriptures with presbos, which is the root word for Presbyterian. That word can also be translated as elder. So where I'm going with this is that I'm a United Methodist pastor. I'm ordained by my annual conference, by my bishop. And my title is that I'm a full elder. I'm a fully ordained elder, meaning, so my biblical title draws itself from this concept here. So any church that has an ordained leader, Baptist, Methodist, any group, their ordination language is going to find its rootage in a passage like this. So this Paul here is talking about a group of people who will oversee or lead the church. So I just want to kind of give you where this word here, bishop, what you're going to see it translated a variety of ways, but I want you to understand the root word of it, in that particularly if you're in a Wesleyan tradition, I think this Baptist is the same. I know Presbyterians and Catholics and Episcopals are as well, that our titles, elder, priest, presbytery, these titles are going to find their biblical rootage in this passage here. So I wanted to give you some overview on church history. And so we see here early that there are leaders selected from among the church. Not only do we go back to Acts, remember we talked about Acts 15 and the role of the early church. We see Paul and Barnabas sent off. So, so that's kind of the history or the foundation of that word. But let's talk about some of the characteristics. Married only once. There's a variety of structures about what that means. Basically, the best analogy, the best word you can, a respecter of marriage. The marriage is taken seriously. So that you'll see that translated in a variety of ways. Temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an apt teacher, not a drunkard, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. Must manage his own household well. Golly, that's a lot. That's a lot for us preachers, isn't it? Must not be a recent convert. Must be thought well of by outsiders. Golly. A lot of reasons why people don't want to be preachers. And when you read passages like this, it tells you why. I think of the Bible at one point says that teachers are doubly judged. And one of the best biblical teachers I ever knew was a man who didn't want to teach the Bible, because he said, the Bible says teachers are doubly judged, and so I don't want to get in trouble. I think a couple things here. First, for lay people, those who are not preachers, I think two things for us to think about. First is it's okay to have high expectations of your preacher, particularly in terms of what it says here. Sensible, temperate, not a drunkard, not quarrelsome, gentle. Do we want that in our preachers? I think one of the great mistakes of our church in the last 50 years is that we've often taken more cues about pastors from secular CEOs than we do from shepherds. I said in my sermon Sunday that I want the fruit of the Spirit in my life, and I struggle getting it in a lot of days. And I want to follow folks to the fruit of the Spirit. I said that we don't need to be following charisma or leadership because, y'all, the devil is charismatic and the devil's a good leader. I think all these words are not there. It's like the fruit of the Spirit. We want shepherds. So in your pastors, look for that and have these expectations. But also, I do think within that, we need to understand that pastors are human. I tell my church all the time, I tell anybody, the world has a savior, and his name is not Andy Stoddard. Jesus Christ, the savior of the world, not me. I'm just a moron from Bogachita is all that I am. So I want to be faithful and I want to work hard. I want to do well, but also want to understand that I am not the end all and be all. And there are a lot better preachers than me and a lot better leaders and a lot better pastors. I just want to try to love Jesus as best I can and teach others to love Jesus. So, yeah, we should expect a lot of your preachers and your leaders, but also understand that they're humans. And the pastors that may be watching this, first off, you need to be using your time better if you're watching this or listening to this. But we do have high expectations. And we have, as pastors, been told that our main job is to lead, which it is to lead. Because he says, how can you lead the people of God? How can you manage the household of God if you can't manage your own house? So, yeah, we do need to be leaders. But we need to be gentle and not violent. And in an age of social media where reactions are king, we don't need to be quarrelsome. We need to have hospitality. As clergy, are we thought well of by outsiders? We want to try to develop these gifts in our life. I know now what it says in verse 6, he must not be a recent convert, or else he may be puffed up with conceit and fall into condemnation from the devil. Ooh, y'all, when I was young, I don't know if I was conceited, but I thought I knew everything. I tried to have humility, but goodness, I needed to have my head thumped in some. So spiritual leadership is important. So for lay people watching this, first off, pray for your preacher. Pray for your preacher. Your preacher needs it. Pray for me. I need it. Encourage your preacher. Encourage your preacher by showing up, by serving, by giving, by telling them when you appreciate something about their sermons. Encourage your preacher. Trust me when I say your preacher has enough discouragement in their life. They can use some encouragement. So you see 1,000 things wrong with your preacher right now, pray for them and love them and see if that will help them. Dr. Bryson used to always pick at us. When we'd say we're praying for him, he'd say, good, I need the prayers, you need the practice. Pray for your preachers. And preachers, don't give up. I know it's hard, y'all. I know it's hard. Keep being faithful. Keep seeking out the fruit of the Spirit. Keep loving the Lord and keep pointing others to him. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow we're going to look at qualifications for deacons. So that'll be fun as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about church history tomorrow. But thanks for watching this, and thanks for encouraging me and praying for me and I appreciate you. Love you.